ready for this week's episode of Science in the Best Ways. Today we will be talking about how Galapagos Finches started this movement and how natural selection works. Who found out about evolution and natural selection?
Natural selection is the process in which animals are chosen to survive based on their traits that they had. Sometimes there will be new mutations which will create new traits and in which will create new genes.
Natural selection is driven by several key factors, including overproduction, variation, and competition. Species produce more offspring than that can survive, overproduction. Individuals have differences in their traits, variation, and they must compete for limited resources, competition. These factors lead to some individuals surviving and reproducing more successfully than others.
Interesting. So what is evolution? I heard that it was the same thing, but somehow also different.
Charles Darwin was a pioneering scientist best known for developing the theory of evolution by natural selection. At a time when evolution was already being discussed, Darwin helped explain how and why species change over time. He observed that organisms with traits better suited to their environment are more likely to survive and reproduce, passing those traits on to future generations by studying the patterns of nature. Darwin used cause and effect approach.
Yes, and some of those people who further researched the Galapagos Island finches were Rosemary Grant and Peter Grant, who found out that the finches in Daphne Major, which was a good island to research because it was kinda small, was known for its many species on one island, with its easily availability to the scientists and biologists.
Darwin used a cause and effect approach to understand how species adapt and evolve. Peter Grant and Rosemary Grant lived through two major climate cycles on the Galapagos Island, known as El Niño and El Niña, which occurred within a relatively short period of time. They studied how these environmental changes affected natural selection among finch populations across the islands by closely observing the birds. The Grants were able to understand how shifts in the climate influence beak size, species variation, and reproductive patterns. The first event, La Niña, brought a severe drought with little to no rainfall. As a result, many plants and vines failed to grow, leaving only a limited food supply. Soft, small seeds became scarce, while larger, tougher seeds, such as those from cacti, were more likely to survive. Finches with small beaks struggled to eat these tougher seeds and faced intense competition for food. As a result, a large portion of the small-beaked population died, with nearly 85% failing to survive. During the drought, birds with larger beaks survived because they could eat the tougher seeds. This was a perfect example of survival of the fittest, as smaller beaked birds died off. The finches with larger beaks reproduced and passed this trait onto their offspring, what's interesting is that this change happened in just a few years, showing that natural selection can occur quickly when the environment changes, just like Charles Darwin suggested.
Came the event known as El Niño. While the name may not seem significant, it brought dramatic changes to the Galapagos Islands. Heavy rainfall flooded the land, transforming the once dry environment into a lush, thriving ecosystem. On Daphne Major's, grasses and vines rapidly grew, increasing the availability of food. As a result, finch populations expanded, and smaller beaks once again became the more common due to the abundance of softer seeds. Good?
This is a graph of the El Niño and El Niño things of the finch population before and after. In the first one, El Niño, there was a desert and in the drought. And during the drought, all the large seeds were the only things left. There were no small seeds, so all the birds with small beaks couldn't live because they didn't have enough food. So the bird beak population, like the size of their beaks, average size went up to large. But then the opposite thing happened, and a rainstorm caused there to be an overwhelming amount of small seeds, making the bird population nearly die again because all of the birds had large beaks. Luckily, they evolved new traits that allowed them to have small beaks, and then the bird beak average depth went down the opposite way.